You tuned in to the Supreme Pooba Supreme, and I am accompanied by
the Enchantress Divine Ruby Craft.
And this is the Dub Tape Podcast. Welcome back to the Dub Tape Podcast. I am your host, the Supreme Pooba Supreme, and I am accompanied by
Ruby Craft.
Ooh, okay. You learned. Nah, man, but we got a special one lined up for you guys today. The crafty one here decides that it's going to be story time. So we're going to let her tell her stories. But before we get into that, you want to kind of jump right into it, or you want to interlude a little bit about what it's about?
We can interlude. We always, so the thing is, we all have our share of stories and experiences from different substances. You know, different substances. Mm-hmm. like I know someone who got too drunk and ended up hugging a tree.
Okay.
So,
drunk star. Man, we're gonna see. I mean, I'm not a one upper, but I'm I'm interested because she hasn't even told me what this shit is about, and I'm just as curious as you guys because I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean? But
all right. Well, so my thing is, every time I went to a function and somebody brought brownies, adult brownies,
weed brownies.
Anytime someone brought adult brownies, it was always none left by the time I got to it. Okay. So this time I'm at my sister's house at a party. And someone brings the brownies. I'm going to start by saying I should have known better when the smell was coming through the foil.
Foil? It came through the foil?
Came through the foil. Like, you can smell it before it even entered the house. You should have known better. The brownies.
Yeah, I know.
So, anyway, having a party, drinking jungle juice, big ass solo cup of jungle juice.
This sounds ugly already.
The brownies come in. I'm like, oh man, like the brownies. Now I knew I should have had a smaller piece. I did not have a smaller piece. I had a regular brownie size piece of this brownie.
A regular chunk of brownie.
And by the time I had the brownie, I actually had two solo cups full of jungle juice.
And jungle, for the squares out there, why don't you just tell everybody what jungle juice is? Because
it's juice with everything in it. You have vodka, you have rum, you have
Everclear. Don't forget the Everclear.
Everclear, and then the fruit, and what Hawaiian Punch?
I think it's Hawaiian Punch. Sprite. Some people
all
put
of
Sprite,
the things.
7 Up, whatever. That shit just sounds like a diabetic coma. Like it's too sweet, then it's sugar and alcohol, so it's like that's what's happening.
And the sugar activates the alcohol even more.
Terrible.
So
what the fuck were we doing back then?
So these brownies come in, I'm like, fuck that. I'm taking a whole brownie. Every time there's brownies involved, I'm always the last one to get any, or there's none left, or I'm left with like half a crumb. I'm like, I'm taking a whole fucking brownie. I stood 10 toes down on that. Well, anyway.
I'm waiting. Go ahead. Tell your story. Tell your story.
So my other friend comes in. She has half a brownie and 1 cup of jungle juice. Okay. And she's a much smaller frame than I am. So now we're outside, we're talking or whatever. And my friend is like, the friend who had 1 cup and half a brownie, she's like, oh my God, I'm starting to feel it. And she's looking at me, she's like, how are you still standing? We're outside. I'm like, bitch, don't you see me leaning against the house? I'm not standing. I'm leaning against the house.
Higher, higher,
Word.
baby.
So now we go inside, and next thing I know, this chick is freaking out. She's touching her chest and her knees. It's like playing head, shoulders, knees, and toes with her, because she is freaking out, okay?
Bitch playing Miss Mary.
Word. By herself in the middle of the kitchen. She's like, oh my God. Look, she's like, oh my God, I don't like the way this feels. Oh my God. And I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna blow my fucking high. So I'm like, hey yo, come on, let's go downstairs. Let's go downstairs and watch a movie. So I took her downstairs. And she is like freaking out. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I can't believe I'm in this, and my kid is here, and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, bruh, first of all, we are all family. I'm like, my kid is taking care of your kid. We have nothing to worry about. Just
How old were the children?
Oh, this was many years ago. I want to say my kid was probably 10.
The bigger kids watching the smaller kids.
Right. And so she and her kid was maybe like 6 or 7. But I'm saying, like, it was a house party. There was plenty of people,
Right.
Plenty of and there were family around that, you know, in the Black community, like, I'm gonna watch your kids like you gonna watch my kids. I'm gonna do for my kids like you gonna do for mine. Like,
Right.
I'm going to treat your kids like my own, period. And that's the community that we've built for each other. So for her to freak out about no one watching her kid was just like, are you serious right now? Like, right. we are literally surrounded by family. Like, all of us, we going to go and do any and everything for these kids. So anyway, so she's freaking out. And I said, maybe you would feel better if you splash some water on your face, like periodically. Now, let me paint the scene. We're in the basement. The basement has a full bathroom in the basement. Mm-hmm. Okay. And, we're in like the living section of it. So all you got to do is walk from the couch to the bathroom. I say, why don't you put some water on your face every once in a while? This bitch pours water from a water bottle to put it on her. I'm like, hey, yo, what are you doing? She's like, I'm going to put water on my... I'm like, you've lived here your whole life. Go to the bathroom.
She'd have fucked around and drowned, though. Like, he's high. Like, she would have filled that shit up and jumped in. I can't swim.
So I'm like, hey, yo. So she goes to the bathroom, and I'm like, all right, I got to do something. So I go upstairs, I grab her some food. She's picking at the plate or whatever. And at one point, like, she disappears. She goes back up. And now she's talking to my sister. She's like, can you please keep an eye? And she's like, my sister's looking at her like, duh. like, what the fuck? So she comes back downstairs. Now we're like engulfed in whatever. I couldn't tell you what we were watching. All I know is I was melted into the couch. Okay. like she's cool. She's chilling out. And I am totally sunken in the sunken place of the couch.
That don't sound like no weed, man. Who bought them brownies, bro? Like,
somebody we're no longer getting brownies from anymore. Them shit is too strong.
I bought that shit from that nigga from what's that shit? What's that show called? With Bryan Cranston. Breaking Bad. Y'all bought some Breaking Bad brownies and shit.
Listen, and so the next thing I know, my sister comes down. She's looking at both of us. She's laughing. She goes back upstairs. Her one friend, we call her the Snow Bunny because she's like the only white girl of the group. She comes downstairs. Apparently she had a brownie too, because next thing I know, I'm looking at her and she's making out with the cat. Literally. She is making out with the cat. And I'm like, okay. And I go back to watching whatever the fuck we was watching. And next thing you know, like, my sister comes back down. She's pointing and laughing at all of us because we all must have looked some type of crazy. Like,
so clearly she didn't drink the Kool-Aid that day.
She did, but I don't know. She didn't have any brownies.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
she didn't have a brownie.
She
Like,
had the jungle juice. She had no brownies. So, yeah, that's
Is that the weed story?
that was the weed story. That was one of many weed stories. I didn't sober up till probably like 1:00 that morning. I ended up staying the night.
Listen, man.
And you would have thought I learned my lesson because, but like years later, I had a piece of a brownie to try to help me go to sleep because I had to go to work the next day.
That probably wasn't the best thing for you to do.
It definitely wasn't. So wait, I'm working at a doctor's office at the time, and I'm like, all right, like I'm the only person here. It's a Saturday. It's a half day. And I'm dealing with patients, like rescheduling them or whatever. And then I get this phone call from this lady, and she's like, "Hi, is this Dr. So-and-so's office?" And I'm like, "No, this is Dr. So-and-so's office." "Well, I need to cancel my appointment." I said, "Okay, well, you need to call that doctor's office."
You're high doing this?
Yes.
But was it the right doctor's
Wait,
office?
no, it wasn't.
Okay.
She called the wrong doctor's office. I think she was looking like for her cardiologist or something. Like, and we were a foot doctor. So she's like,
Can't tell your asshole from your elbow.
bruh. So I was like, "No, you have to call that office." She was like, "Okay." Now, this one patient that was in the office, she was like in a room like right across from me, so she can like hear the conversation. So I hang up. She's like, "Oh, okay." And she hangs up. 5 minutes later, "Hey, I called to cancel the appointment, but I don't want to cancel the appointment." And and I'm like, "What do you? I just spoke to you,
You're just not in the mood for this shit at this point.
bruh." And so she was like, "Yeah, I realized I called the wrong office to cancel the appointment, so I gotta cancel the." I'm like, "Who?" I said, "Which appointment are you trying to cancel?" "I'm trying to cancel such and such appointment." I said, "Okay, you have to call that doctor. You did not. I kept your appointment. I kept it, like, because you need to cancel the appointment for the other doctor, for the cardiologist."
Oh, so wait a minute. She does have. She is a patient.
She is a patient.
She just called the wrong doctor.
Right. She called
Got
the wrong
you.
doctor.
Okay. I thought she just called all
No.
together.
No. So she was a patient, but she just called the wrong doctor. She called our office looking for the cardiologist. Okay. And I'm like, "No, you have to cancel. You have to call that doctor." She's like, "Well, can't you do it for?" "No, ma'am, I can't do it for you. We're not affiliated." Mind you, I am high as a kite.
Why did you go to work?
Because I was the only person that works the office. It's just me. It was just me and the doctor. What the fuck was that?
Yo, I swear to God, I was yo. I don't know what the fuck kind of shit you brought here with you. Get it the fuck out. Yo. I don't do paranormal.
Hush.
Yo.
So anyway, now by this time, the lady that's actually in the office, she comes up to the desk, and the lady calls back again. And I'm like, "Ma'am, this is the podiatrist's office. You have to call the cardiologist's office. I did not cancel your appointment because I understood that you meant to cancel the cardiologist's appointment." Like, and I'm going back and forth with this lady for like 5 minutes over the phone. And I hung up and I look at the lady that's standing in front of the desk waiting to schedule her appointment. I'm like, I said, "Did I make sense?" Because I'm high. I'm high as hell. And I'm looking at this old lady. I'm like, "Did I make sense to you?" And she's like, "Yes, you made perfect sense to me. I don't know if you made perfect sense to her." And I'm like, "I don't know either." Because at this point, nothing makes sense to me, right?
Let me tell you something. This is exactly why I don't leave the house when I'm embarking on a journey when it comes to marijuana and things like that.
Let me tell you, Don't do it.
No, and I won't.
I
You don't
learned
have to
that
tell
lesson
me.
the hard way.
You don't have to tell me because I've, so you shared.
I did. I shared 2 stories.
You shared.
got
So I got, everybody. Like you said, everybody has a story.
Everybody got a story.
So a friend of mine had, this is an edible story. They call them edibles and shit like that. So I was already drunk and I'm riding around drunk.
Okay.
Please don't arrest me when you see me.
The license plate number is.
Fuck that. That's the least of my worries. Trust me. So riding around, and I don't even know how I came across her, but she was just like, I think she called me. I may have called her. I don't know. And no, I called her because, this is a friend of mine. And I'm like, yo, you still got like them edibles and shit? And she's just like, yeah, I think I got one left, da-da-da-da-da. But I'm drunk. I probably had like 3 40s. Yes, 40s.
Oh, my God.
And I was sipping on some Jack, and I'm just going. I had 2 things of Jack. I think I finished one, and had another one getting ready to crack. But I was like, yo, if she gives me an edible, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to fuck with the edible. And much like you, I was unexperienced with edibles. So I remember she came outside, and it was like a nerd's rope. The shit was...
Hey, yo, this is like the 3rd Nerds Rope story I've heard this week. Go ahead. Go for it. Go for it.
I think I was biting off that thing, pause, for probably like 3-4 months, waiting for the same magic to happen that happened the first time. So she gave it to me, and she's just like, and keep in mind, I'm drunk. So I got like the half eye, one eye wide open, one eye squinted, kind of looked like, you got to do what with it? That's bullshit. I don't want to do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So she's like, I'm telling you, you probably just want to take about, this much, like a digit off your pinky of that shit. And I was just like, all right, now, so right around the corner. I'm stumbling into the house. I go into the bedroom. Forgot how much she said to take. So I just bit the motherfucker, pause. And I'm sitting there like every other story, right? Man, this shit ain't working. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, yo, I got to turn the lights from blue to white, right? Because this shit is fucking with my vision.
What?
I didn't have any color lights in that room.
I was about to say.
And I'm like, oh, shit. But I'm like kind of laying in the bed, just like looking up like, yeah, man, this shit ain't working. I gotta do something. But I'm trying, and the whole time I'm looking for this switch to turn the blue light into white. And it was like some real Star Trek shit. And it's like, I couldn't find it, so I just cut everything off. I just said, fuck it. Cut everything off. Get in the bed, I'm hot as shit. So, and it's the winter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too fucking hot, so I'm just sprawled out in my fucking drawers and shit, just in the bed. I'm not even sweating, I'm just hot, like, oh, shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Got up, stuck my head out the window. You know what I'm saying? Came back in and just laid down in the bed, grabbed my phone, get on Facebook, and I just start talking Cash Money shit. Not even so much Cash Money shit, but it was more so like, I think the post was, name some girl that you wanted to fuck in high school that you fuck right now. Some shit like that. And
this was a few years ago.
This is a few years ago, yeah.
This was okay. I know when this was.
So I remember, because now at this point, I'm like, oh shit, I think I'm high. Like I'm sitting there hot and sweaty without not a bead of sweat coming down my forehead or nothing. And I'm laying in the bed watching An Odd Couple on Prime. And I had this big ass fucking Scooby-Doo sandwich. I don't even know where it came from. I think I planned for it. and I bought a sub from like Quick Check, and it was in my book bag. 'Cause I, carry around a little book bag with everything in it, and I pulled the sandwich out and I started gnawing on the sandwich like a fucking savage. And I'm watching The Odd Couple, and son just said, "Yo, check your phone." I checked my phone, and I forgot what exactly the responses were, and it was like, basically it was like, "Man, you're crazy. Why don't you name somebody who you wanted to fuck?" And this all it. So I threw a name out there blindly. I kind of did, but I just first thing that came to mind. I go to sleep.
And that shit blew up, yo.
Yo, I woke up the next morning.
I remember that post.
I don't even think we were friends at that point.
No, we weren't. So let me tell you. So you put up that post, right?
Right.
And my cousin calls me because I'm working overnight at that time. Mm-hmm. So she knew I was up late, and she would call me drunk, and she called. Normally that's the only time she calls is when she's drunk. So anyway, she's like, "Did you see so-and-so's post?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "Don't you remember him?" I'm like, "The name rings a bell." And she's like, "No." She's like, you need to see this shit." Bro. And everybody is like listing names and shit. And I'm like, damn. And she was like, I don't know why you. I'm like, bro, he probably don't even remember me. Like, that was middle. I'm like, I didn't go to high school with y'all. I left in middle school. Like,
right.
I left right before high school. And she's like, oh no, you gotta like his shit is always live or some shit like that. Like she's like, he's always saying some wild shit. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm like, all right, let me friend request him and see.
Yo, so many people friend requested me the next day. And it was DMs. It was just, does anybody want to fuck me? I'm like, whoa.
Bruh, and that's the thing. The cousin was salty as hell. Nobody listed her.
No one.
Not a soul. And
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm like, hey, yo, why do you care? Like, you are married. Why do you even care, yo?
I think that was the lure of it, though. Like,
I'm like, you're married. Why do you care? Oh, man. I'm like, you have a husband that adores you, kisses the ground that you walk on. Why do you care?
Bro, like, dug deep. Because somebody called me. And was like, I'm talking about like, never have I ever received a phone call on Facebook. Never have I ever. Now, mind you, I'm waking up and I think I slept on my phone, right? Like, I slept on the phone. So I'm gonna give you a minute.
All right, go ahead.
So all you got is my belly being vibrated. Pause. And that's what woke me up. I felt like fucking like that's and I thought I was like, oh, shit, I done slept on the cat again. Like, you know what I'm saying? And he's like not fighting or some shit because So I'm like, all right, you know what I mean? Fucking, I got text messages, fucking DMs, missed FaceTime phone calls.
And friend requests.
And friend requests. And it was like half the friend request was because I wasn't friends with whoever.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was like, at this point, I'm kind of, I mean, it's 2023, it could be a scammer, right? But I'm like, no, this is way too many people. And I'm just like, okay.
Your debauchery.
Like,
you probably had like 100 additional friends that day.
Yeah, it was something like that. You know what I'm saying? And it was the funniest shit because, that shit went on for like 3 days.
It did.
It was like 3 days. And I was like, yo, I got to thank the people who, I want to thank the girl who challenged me to name somebody. And I want to thank the girl who sold me the goddamn dope rope. Because I was like, it was the perfect storm, but it was like, I can't help But to say like, yo, if I just would have got drunk and went home, if I didn't make that detour to go see her, none of that shit would have happened.
No.
None of that shit would have happened. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I was kind of edging it, but I was like, you know, I ain't going.
And we wouldn't be here today.
Yo.
That third rope led us to right here today.
Yo, that fucking dope rope.
Hey, yo, go give her a shout out and $100.
Yo, I mean, I always, you know, I can't, you know what I'm saying? But I was just like, I got calls from people like, you're fucking sick, man. You're fucking sick. This is great. And I'm like, I really don't know what I did. And I had to go back myself because by that time it had gotten so long. I'm like, what the fuck did I even say? I don't even remember what I said. And then it was like I finally got to the top. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, that was that. And then a girl who didn't even go to our school. Didn't none of that. Fool, why don't you name somebody?
Didn't even go to. She doesn't even go here.
Doesn't even go to the school.
We wear pink on Wednesday. Regina Jordan.
And but that dope rope. Let me tell you something. That dope rope had me in a phase where, and I'll never forget this. This is a real story. No drugs involved, right? So this is like Christmas break. Like we're getting ready to go on Christmas break, and this is what made me tag this girl. Right. Mm-hmm. So you're in high school, you know, you do like suck and blow and all of that stuff. My homeboy, he's like, you know, such and such be looking at you. And I'd be like, all right, cool. And it's like, whatever. It's not really who I'm interested in right now. She's not ugly or anything, but I'm just not interested in her right now. And it was just like, all right, whatever. So he had it in his mind. We're in the back of the class. It's, you know, a substitute. We're not doing work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Nobody pays the sub any money.
And, you know, I'm with my neutral friends, and I'm just, what are you guys doing back here? Oh, yo, we getting ready to play this game. We need one more person. I'm like, what game? And he just grabbed me like, nah, you'll like it. Okay. So he's like, the name of the game is called Suck and Blow. And I'm like, are you familiar with this game?
Mm-hmm.
I never heard of this shit. This is some Sweet Valley High, California Dream.
It was
all the knockoff Saved by the Bell shit. You know,
all of that.
So I'm like, all right, how do you play it? He was like, all right, so
I never got to play, by the way.
I played that one time, and it was just like he set it up so I think you could like go across, or whoever drops. I don't even know what the consequence was, and it was like somebody picks up the paper. You know, it's a girl, boy order.
Right.
And, you know, he set it up so that it comes down between me and this girl.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets it. And she never plays anything. She never played anything. She was queen of the antisocial club.
Right.
You know what I mean? She was popular in her own right, but she was like queen of the antisocial club. But she was so enthusiastic when the paper was on her lips, and she like threw it into me, and I was just like... I like turn the paper down, like, what the fuck? You wanted this, huh? Like, you know, I'm feeling good and shit. Like, all right, cool. So, and then we kind of became a little cool after that, like the little court face. So fast forward, this, you know, we getting ready to go on Christmas break. And I had just found my little cubby as far as like drinking in school and shit. But I was drinking some shit I ain't had no business drink. I think it was like that Ray and Nephew. You know what I'm saying?
Not the Ray.
Yo.
Ugh.
My stomach was bubbling. You know? Like, for real. And I'll never forget, I was trying to stay away from people because I was like, yo.
I cannot be held responsible.
Listen, because
whatever happens if you touch me.
Cardinal rule number 1, you don't use the school bathroom. You know.
Because everything is wet.
I don't know. I just was refused. You know, my stomach could be hurting all day, and I will wait until it's time to go home, and I will jog all the way home. You know, 'cause I live right up the street anyway. So.
Right.
But I'm like, God damn, it's like I'm just sitting in the corner, got my head down and everything like that. And I'm kind of just like, you kind of sit up for a second, put your chin on your hands, you looking around. It's like, yo, I really got to take a shit. I wonder if you're mapping it out like that. I wonder if anybody in that basement bathroom. I'll use that shit. nah, the ROTC be down there. They be wildin'. I can't go upstairs. Those are the overclassmen, the upperclassmen. They play all types of jokes and shit. You'll never live it down. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
you couldn't have gone to the nurse's office. Don't the nurse got a private bathroom?
Occupied.
Shit.
Occupied. So I'm like, fuck it. Just hold that shit. Think of something. Just hold it. So here's old girl sitting across. And they're talking and they're giggling and pointing and all of this shit. And I'm like, please don't fuck with me. Please don't fuck with me. Please don't fuck with me. Because it's like the worst thing I could do is like, at this point, it's a crush now, right? It's like a little crush going on here. Right. And I'm like, yo, this shit started like last month, and we kind of been like tippy-toeing around it a little bit. The last thing I need to do is shit on myself in front of this girl when she comes up to me and like gives me a hug or decides she wants to play or whatever. I don't want to fart. I don't want to none of that. Like, I don't want to do any of that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there and she's like, she comes over there and, you know, sits down. She's got this smile on her face. And I'm like, hey, what's up? She's like, yeah, why you ain't over there with everybody else? Da, 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 da. I was like, nah, I'm just chilling. You know, I'm kind of tired. You know, I'm trying to be cool. So in my mind, it sounded like, oh yeah, nah, you know, I'm just back here cooling, you know. I'm just trying to sound cool as fuck and shit. And she's like, why don't you come over here with us? Like, oh nah, I'm gonna just sit back and chill here, man. You know, I ain't really in the mood for none of that. And she starts like tapping me. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. And she was like, come on now, come on. And I'm like, yo. Then this bitch poked me in the stomach. I jumped up. Because that shit was like, I was like, oh.
Time to go.
Ran in the bathroom. I ain't give a fuck who was in that motherfucker. It was about to, if don't nobody want to die, get the fuck out. Ran up in there, locked the stall, put my feet up on the door.
Oh, shit.
Like, and it was just like, oh my God, I'll never hold this shit in this bad again. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just going. My bad timing, now all of a sudden the bell rings. So we changing classes.
Oh, man.
And I just hear the fucking confusion. I think I took my shoes off, everything. Nobody will know that was me in that bathroom bombing that shit the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? And, of course, motherfuckers is in the bathroom. And I'm literally sitting there like a white girl under the bed hiding from Jason. Like, my mouth is covered like, oh, yeah. Bloop. It's him. Like, holy shit. But that's the day, that night when all of that shit had, for some reason, that rope brought me back to that moment for some reason. And I was just like, that mother, shit, she'll never know. I mean, she never will know. But I was like, that motherfucker really damn, they shitted on myself. Oh, shitted on myself and my brother's clothes because, he was out of high school. He had the cool shit. Right. So he was buying all the new shit because he had a job, And I'm like, okay, yeah. All right, see you later, man. And I go in the closet. Yep. Warren Moon jersey, Jabot jeans. Like, two-tone do-rag.
Terrible.
Like, I'm in there wilding and I'm like, yo, the last thing I want to do is fucking ruin my brother's fucking clothes because then I got to go home. And we ain't had no washing machine.
Oh, no.
I ain't have no money to go to the laundromat.
Oh,
so
no.
it was just bad always round and shit. And it was just like, but that's the day. That's why I picked the person who I picked first. You know what I mean? And that was that. There's my drug addict story. But, yo, man, we hit the mark. And I appreciate you for sharing. And I hope you guys enjoyed our fucking drug addict stories as much as we enjoy telling them. Shit, I'm always behind on cue when I'm getting caught up with shit like this, but we are going to sign off and see. Actually, you know what? This would make episode 13? 13 or 12?
It might be 12.
It might be 12, but we might have one more in store before we roll over into season 2, and we actually going to have more in store in season 2. Give us some time. dubtapepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on all social media handles. I'm your boy, the Supreme Pooh Supreme.
And I'm the enchantress.
She's Ruby Craft. We gonna catch y'all later. All right, peace.
Bye.